Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us in a few minutes ahead of 2 p.m. As you can see, this is not your traditional webinar. We at Fundraise Up really appreciate that we get to partner with all of you as our customers. Where possible, like to see your smiling faces. So if you're up to chat, you are welcome to join us with your camera on. I just ask that for a majority of today's presentation, you leave yourself muted just to make sure that you can hear me okay. It looks like we have some others joining us here a couple minutes ahead. And if you would like, this is a great time to either via the chat or by unmuting yourself for a second, check in and say hello.
Hey, Nick.
Let's see who will be brave and go first.
Hey everyone, I'm Natasha, the Director of Nonprofit Growth over here. Great to see everyone.
I'm Kura Shepherd, the Senior Development Officer at the Hunger Project.
Oh, awesome. Great to meet you.
Hi, I'm Jen Kruger, Project Coordinator at United Methodist Women.
Welcome in, Jen.
Peter Govis, Clinton Foundation. We recently got on your platform a couple months ago.
Fantastic, Peter. Welcome in.
Thank you.
All right, looks like we have quite the crowd joining us in here right at 2 p.m. If you are new here to the group Zoom call, you might notice that we're doing things a little bit differently. This again is not your traditional webinar. I think some of us might be webinared out at this point. I know I certainly am from the presenter side, so it's nice to be able to see everyone's faces and not just chat at a blank screen and a set of slides. We'll give people a few more minutes to join us in, and I'm going to take care of a couple housekeeping items here behind the scenes. But if you're up to it, if you're feeling brave, come on camera, say hello to everyone. We've got a lot of great customers represented here today, and I would absolutely love for everybody to get to know each other a little bit more. And my teammate Natalie just gave me a really great suggestion. If you can, if you know how, rename your Zoom user to your name and where you're coming in from, your organization that is, and that will help us better get to know each other.
Hello.
Nick, you're on mute.
Thank you for catching me. We're going to go ahead and get started so that we can respect everyone's time today. There's a lot of exciting things to cover with today's update to Tribute. Again, since this is a group Zoom call rather than a proper webinar, I just ask that as you come into the Zoom room, you make sure that you're muted so that everybody can hear the presentation. I'll also include that joining me today from the Fundraise Up side are some of our success engineers, our salespeople, and our implementation team as well. So you might see some familiar names, you might see some familiar faces, but the people who are joining me here from our side are the ones that day in and day out make sure that you have a positive experience with the platform and take your feedback and turn it into features. And on that note, I'm really excited to get started with a look at this update to Tribute, which in many ways is inspired by the type of feedback that we get from you as you engage your donors and learn how they best want to give to your organization. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen, and we have a few slides that we'll look at together, and then I'll give you a live demo of the enhancements as well. All right, and I hope that everybody can share my screen. If you can, just give me a silent thumbs up and we'll be on our way. Thank you so much, Jen. I saw your thumb go up first, so I appreciate it. So let's get started, and I want to begin by talking about why we've made this update to tributes. First, we want to increase your conversion rate. We want more people who arrive on your website to go on to make a donation. Second, we want to enhance the checkout experience for your donors. We want to make sure that as they seek to make a gift in honor or in memory of someone, or to otherwise dedicate it, that it's a good and easy experience. And then third, we want to make sure that there is a higher level of customization for you. So whether that's in the e-card itself or in the card that you place in the mail, we want to make sure that there's some additional options there for you. But most importantly, as I'm sure you hear time and time again from your own reps here at Fundraise Up, we're doing this to reduce friction. That is the whole reason that our company exists and the driving factor behind this update to Tribute. So what you can see on the screen now is a simple walkthrough of how the current Tribute flow works and how the updated version will function. So as I'm sure you're likely familiar with the current version of Tribute flow, a donor can elect to dedicate their donation from the checkout pop-up, and then they can add in the details there about whether it's going to be made in honor or in memory of someone. They can then select how they want that tribute to be shared, whether it's in an email or in a postcard or not shared at all. And then they'll continue on through the checkout flow. And this is one area where we realize there's an opportunity to reduce friction, because you already are engaging as a donor in so many steps to set up that tribute before even making the donation itself. And so it's many screens that a donor has to view. We do a really terrific job of optimizing each of these views so that it happens quickly. But again, we noticed that there's an opportunity here to truncate that tribute experience. And so what you'll see in the bottom half of this slide is how the new tribute flow will work. And so a donor will elect to dedicate their gift. They can input the name of the person, or in the case of today's example, I'll be including my dog in there. And then they can continue through the checkout flow. And then at the end, we're going to give them two options. They can either continue on to customize the tribute from donor portal via the checkout itself, or the donor will also receive an email. And so this will be a new email in addition to the receipt email that they receive. And this new email is going to invite the donor to complete the tribute. And that's where we can use donor portal to your advantage to allow the donor to best customize what that dedicated donation is going to look like. And so let's take a quick look at the performance increases that we are seeing based on this new approach to tribute giving through Fundraise Up. So 20% less time spent completing a tribute donation. That's great news. And then a 5.3% conversion rate increase on tribute donations when compared to the current iteration of this feature. And again, this is what we always set out to do on your behalf as a customer, is to make the checkout experience more seamless, for it to flow more quickly and to increase your conversion and reduce friction along the way. So if you're taking notes, that's 20% less time spent completing a tribute donation and a 5.3% increase in conversion. Now, a question we got was, will the new tribute process encourage more donors to make a dedicated donation? And the answer is yes, by a little over 200%. So if you're not already using tribute style fundraising on your website and it's going to be a good fit for you, this is a great time to think about implementing it. And again, for those of you who are joining us more recently in the presentation, I'm joined by many of our success engineers, salespeople, implementation engineers, and they are here to help make sure that you can best leverage this feature. And so one of the things that you can do is reach out to them after this call and say, hey, saw the presentation on new tributes, would love to get this set up, would love to see, what it's going to take to roll this out, especially ahead of Q4 fundraising. Now let's take a look at how this will actually work. So I'm going to jump over here to our demo website. And one of the things we can do is make sure that this link is available to you after the presentation. It may be helpful for you to see this in practice ahead of getting it deployed for your own nonprofit. And you'll notice that not much is different about the checkout itself, but the change that we've made on this screen is that that opportunity to dedicate a gift is now going to be a checkbox here. And you can toggle between the language that you want represented there. So in this case, we're using the language dedicate this donation, but alternatively, you can have it read as, I believe it's make this donation in honor or in benefit. So I will today make a $40 one-time gift. I'm going to dedicate this donation, and I'm going to do so to my new golden doodle, Rooney. He's 3.5 months. I'm very proud of him, and I can't wait to make a donation in dedication of him today. Click donate. I'll use our test credentials here. And I'll enter my information. Today, I'm pretending to be someone other than Nick Miller. Today, I'm Jared Dunn. I'll enter his information here. And then once I click donate, we'll complete the transaction. And you'll see on the next screen that I now have the opportunity to complete my dedication. Now, I will note that in some of your own checkout experiences that you'll use on your website, whether it's for general donations or for specific campaigns, you can still include additional views. So you may still collect information such as the mailing address, or you might still show some custom questions to your donor, and those are still fully compatible with this new flow. But for today's demo, we're skipping along right here to this screen here. So again, there's two options now that I now have as a donor. I can either complete my dedication by clicking the button that you see on the screen here, or alternatively, I've received an email that's going to invite me to do this. So let me hop over here to my inbox, and you'll see that there's two example emails here. One is my receipt email, and so that's fully customizable, of course, and it includes a link to manage my donation, and it also, of course, includes a PDF of my donation as well. The new email, the second email that I have in my inbox, is the one that I mentioned earlier, and it's an invitation for me to complete my dedicated donation. And so when a donor clicks this complete my dedication button, it's going to send them to Donor Portal, and it's going to show them this new screen. And this new screen is going to allow the donor to further customize their tribute donation. And so right now there are options for in honor or in memory. In the future, we may have additional options or even custom options that you might be able to use. But when we first launched this feature, the updated version of tributes, you'll be able to toggle between in honor and in memory. Today, I'm making a donation in honor of my dog, Rooney. I'll be sending an e-card, but you can also toggle the printed card version. Today, we're going to pass the information to your nonprofit, and you can send out that printed card however makes the most sense for your tribute flows and processes. So that may be an 8.5 by 11 letter. It may be a postcard like we show on the screen here, but it's fully up to you. What we're doing for the donor here is giving them an example of what this might look like in printed form. I'm going to elect to send an e-card today. It's from me, the donor, Jared Dunn, and I will send it to myself and say, hi, Nick. I'm donating today because I love how cute Rooney is. Cheers. Here. You can, of course, opt to, as a donor, hide the amount of the gift. If you don't want the recipient of the e-card to view that, I'll let it be shown today. The recipient is me. Nick Miller. And then I'll click send e-card. And my e-card will be sent to, in this case, my personal email address and include all of the information that we just saw represented on the screen. Some additional features that are now built into Donor Portal for management purposes do have to do with the dedicated gift. So you'll notice that I'm here in Donor Portal and I'm viewing a record of the transaction. And so I can see that the donation itself succeeded, the payment method that was used, the date, etc. Then I'll also see that there's a new section in here for that dedication. Let's say this donation is dedicated to Rooney, and I can view the card that was sent right there. And then another neat feature that we've built in here to Donor Portal is the ability for a donor to go back and dedicate any previous gift that they've made. So let's say that instead of giving on Tuesday, August 31st, which is today, I had made a donation last Tuesday. I could go back into Donor Portal, select that donation, and convert it into a tribute style gift. Now you might be wondering, if somebody makes a donation, they've made a donation last Tuesday and today they choose to donate it, is that going to create a new transaction in my CRM? Are you going to sync over that info? And so what our engineers have done is make it so that even though the donation was made last week, we'll find that donation in your CRM and we'll update the record with the appropriate tribute information. And so that way you're not having to worry about juggling different transactions and making sure that everything is lined up in your CRM. We're programmatically via API going to update the original transaction with that tribute information. And then coming soon, we'll also have the ability to provide you with new export templates. And so you may already be familiar with our recently updated exports tool in the platform. And it has some built-in templates there for platforms like MailChimp, for example. And we'll also include some templates and presets in there for your tribute style reporting. So that's how it works in practice. We're really excited to roll this out the door for you, our wonderful customers. And I'm going to jump back into our presentation for a moment here because there's a few more things I want to show you. And so I'm sure you're wondering, when does this new feature launch? September 2021. Very, very soon. We are putting some finishing touches on the product and we'll roll it out the door over the next few days. And of course, you can reach out to your success engineer or your other rep here at Fundraise Up for more questions about getting this implemented for your nonprofit, how it will impact your behind the scenes processes, and of course, how that experience will perform for your donors. But again, we make changes like these to enhance the experience, not only for your donor, but for you as well. And so we saw those conversion increases, we saw the time to complete a donation drop, and these are all big green check boxes. Of course, for us as a team building a product for you, and we certainly hope for you as well as a customer. Two other items that I want to highlight for you before we jump into a time when you can ask questions is what's coming next. And so I slipped this slide in here for you. It took some finagling from our product team to allow me to do this because I don't yet have release dates for the two features you see on the screen here. But the first is to allow you to either use images that we provide to you for tribute cards, or for you to even have the ability to upload your own custom images for those tribute cards. And that's whether it is an e-card or something that gets put in the mail. We, of course, understand that there are going to be specific campaigns where you need your branding, your imagery best represented in those tribute notifications. And so we'll see that arrive with this feature later on. And then the second one is a big one. And again, I don't have release dates for these, so let's not get too excited about them now, but this one is quite exciting to me because this second feature is going to allow you to potentially have these tribute postcards automatically mailed on behalf of your nonprofit to the recipient. This can, of course, mean significant decrease in the amount of time and effort that you have to engage in behind the scenes with your team. I used to work at a nonprofit and would process these tribute letters, and I know that it would take time out of my day to stuff envelopes, attach postage, and drop into the mail, time that I could have otherwise spent on the phone with donors or engaging in some fundraising strategies. So we're really excited about the possibilities here. We were on a call with the vendor that we plan to use for this feature just yesterday, and we'll have some future updates on what that will look like for you as well. That said, I'm sure you might have some questions about what we've just covered, and if you'd like, we can even go back and put that tribute feature from the demo site back on the screen to walk through again. But if you do have questions, please feel free to drop them into the chat, or if we can manage it, you can even unmute yourselves and ask a question that way. Let's just be sure to not talk over each other. So I see we have some questions in here, and since we have some of our success engineers, implementation engineers, and salespeople in here, I'm just going to ask the 3 or 4 of you if you've seen any questions pop up so far that would be good to cover.
Nick, there have been a couple of questions here about the print a mail card option. So if you could just go over that again for everyone here.
Yes, absolutely. So let me do this. I'm going to hop back to Donor Portal. And what I want to do is we're going to look at the flow as it is. In fact, actually, let me do this. Let's do 2 things. Let me hop back to the deck, and I'm going to revisit this link. I'm going to put through one more donation. This time, we'll do it for $25. We'll dedicate this donation. And Natasha, today I'll be dedicating this one to you. Thank you for being a fantastic team member to work with here at Fundraise Up. I'll drop in our test credentials here. Pardon me as I move around some Zoom windows on my screen. And then we'll hop back into Donor Portal to finish customizing this donation and look at those 2 options that we have today. So you'll see that for now we have these 2 options. We can send an e-card, and we can also send that printed card. Today, with printed card, this functionality is virtually the same as it has been with the tribute function, where we will pass along to you on the record that the donor requested to have something physically sent to the recipient. It is up to you as a nonprofit to determine what it is that will be sent to the donor at this point. Again, that might be a letter, it might be a postcard, it may even be a trifold brochure. Again, it's completely up to you. What we're looking at in the future as a feature that we can plug into the tribute functionality is the ability to have these postcards automatically sent to the recipient of the tribute notification. And that should save you and your team some time. Now, of course, that would be an option that you'd be able to toggle on or off, because depending on your processes that you have in place, you may actually prefer to manage these a little bit more manually rather than have them automatically sent. But again, that's something that we're looking at implementing for you. Other questions that we have either about the options here for sending e-cards or printed cards, or other things that people might have questions about.
Nick, some of the other, I think we're going to say the same thing. There are a couple of questions about integrations. So how does this work with any existing CRM integrations?
Yes, great question. And so if you're on the call, you're likely either using our exports tool or you're using one of our native integrations. And today we have many of them, and I'll just take a moment here to plug Every Action, which is just rolled out the door from our team. And you can read a little bit more about that on our blog at blog.fundraiseup.com. But again, what we're doing here is when a transaction is created in your donor database, I'll use Bloomerang as an example. So when we create that transaction in Bloomerang, it may not have the tribute information attached, all of the information attached to it as first. We'll be able to indicate that it is a tribute gift. But then when the donor has completed the tribute, we will programmatically send that data to that original transaction. So you don't have to worry about duplicate transactions, duplicate contact information for the donor. We're going to be able to match up the completed tribute information, including the recipient and other data points, to that original transaction. Did that cover that all right, Natalie? Okay, perfect. Other questions that we may have?
Nick, there's been a couple questions about the customizable cards on, kind of what the plan is for those.
Sure, and it's a great question, and I know it's something to get excited about. And truthfully, I don't have too much information for you at this point, other than it is something that we're excited about, and we have a document that covers what this could look like. And so one of the things we can do is, for those of you who have attended today, we can send that PDF document to you. It's going to highlight some of what we've talked about today, but it's also going to futurecast a little bit and show you what that experience might look like for a donor who is able to select a custom image that would appear either in that e-card or on the printed card. I see another great question in here from Jason. Jason asks, what happens if they don't complete the tribute process? Is there a reminder for them to complete it sent via email? That's a question that I am actually not sure about. And so Casey, I'm going to lean on you for some information there.
So when the donor selects to dedicate or to give an honor or memorial, they will automatically get that email that says, please send an e-card or whatever your subject line is, right? So that's the reminder that goes out to them. In the situation where, they go in, they start doing it, and then they get distracted and they come back 3 days later, there's no other reminder sent out outside of that kind of first email saying to go and complete it.
Okay, fantastic. And Nia, I see you're in here as well, and I think there might be a question here that's a little bit more technical than I am equipped to respond to. So let me read it here for you. Once we make the change from dedication to in honor or in memory, will that change all of the tags moving forward? For example, on the current page, it says dedication type.
So the dedication type allows you to specify whether it's in honor or in memory. On the front end, you can specify what the checkbox says. So if you go into any campaign and you turn on tribute, there's going to be two options. Make the label dedicate this donation, or make the label give in honor or in memory. And you'll be able to set what the initial message is. But in the back end, the entire phrasing is around dedicating your donation. And it's only on this last screen where you're actually sending the card or you're sending an e-card where you say whether it's in honor or in memory, because that's where you're actually communicating to some recipient, this gift is in honor or it's in memory. Eventually, when you select e-card, it's going to be able to offer you card designs. So at that point in time, once we add that feature, you'll be able to say, for example, this is in honor of my mother, and here's a Mother's Day card design, as opposed to this is sort of generically in honor of Greg because Greg is great.
Fantastic. Here's another great question that's come in from Kristen, from, it looks like Florida Center for Early Childhood. And she is a newer customer, so welcome to the Fundraise Up family, Kristen. So Kristen's question is, would I need to put a tribute button on a separate page from our general donation button? And so I think there's some additional context we can provide here. No, and in fact, one of our recommendations to all of our customers is to, where possible, not have donors cycle through multiple pages before they launch that checkout experience from Fundraise Up. And so typically, if a donor goes on to your website, they'll see that donate button in the upper right hand of your navigation. They'll click that button and it's going to launch Fundraise Up. And if you have the tribute functionality enabled for that particular campaign, they'll see that checkbox there that will allow them to make that tribute gift. So again, you don't necessarily need to have a separate page for that. However, I'll also say that there may be certain campaigns where you want to create specific landing pages that are customized around dedicating donations. One of the early on conversations we had when planning this update to the feature was a dedicated button for launching the checkout in dedication or tribute mode. I don't know where we are on that. And Nia, if you have any additional insight, feel free to jump in. But that's something that we've talked about and something that may be possible in the future.
I apologize. I was just in the chat. Would you mind restating the question?
Sure. So the original question was, do I need to have a separate page with a separate button for this? And of course, the answer is no, you don't need to. But then I mentioned that we've talked about having buttons that are dedicated to launching some of these different experiences. And I wasn't sure if we had any updates in that area.
Yeah, the reason we decided not to build a standalone button is because we took so much of the experience out of the front end experience. However, what we did do is we brought the donation form element in line with the current flow. So if you have a donation form element, as of receiving the new tribute flow, instead of having a line where it says give in honor and memory, and then it'll take you to the whole card interface, it'll just be a little checkbox that'll say give in honor and memory. And if they check it, it'll give them a place to fill in the name. And that way, when they proceed in to donate, their dedication information is already in place. They go on through with even less clicks.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nia. And by the way, for those of you who have joined us today, Nia is our product manager here in the United States and is chiefly responsible for making sure that features like this go out the door on time and with all the bells and whistles that they need to. So thank you so much, Nia, for helping bring this new tribute functionality to fruition for all of our customers.
Oh, thank you. It's really exciting to see it go out the door. I'm more than happy to be available as a resource. I still definitely recommend talking to your success engineers, our support team, if you have any questions or problems. But when it comes to gathering feedback, when it comes to anything that you suggest or anything that would entail like a larger work item, I'm here in the background. I'm here making sure that the thing that you're talking about, the thing that you're asking for is in line with the other 15, 20 people who have raised that and that we're balancing the stakes and the needs. So you may get contact from me around this feature, especially around the printed card communication. And I really appreciate all the feedback everybody's been giving so far. It's been a wonderful year to be part of Fundraise Up.
Fantastic. Thank you again, Nia. And Dawn from the Hunger Project, I see that you've put up your hand. So if you have a question that you'd like to put out there, feel free to unmute your mic and you can ask it.
Thanks. I think someone was trying to ask the same question. Is there a delay in if that reminder email being sent? Because if that reminder email is being sent immediately, but then they follow the prompt on the thank you screen to fill out the dedication information, and then they go back to their email and they see, oh, complete my dedication, they might think that they didn't actually do it. Does that make sense? Like if they follow the prompt on the checkout screen, then and complete that, and then they go back to their email box. So is there a delay maybe in sending that reminder email?
At the moment, there isn't.
Okay.
At the moment, when you opt to make a donation that includes the tribute information, we err on the side of assuming that they should get both emails just to sort of reinforce that they are going to be able to click through to complete their dedication, regardless of just if they finished and then they closed everything, because I know that sometimes I autopilot through forms like that all the time. The reason why it's not inherently a problem is because if you make a dedication and then you go back in the donor portal, it'll actually show you that you've already sent the donation, that you've already sent the dedication to whatever recipient you chose. And so it'll give you a line that'll allow you to either see the printed card or the e-card that you put together. It's not going to allow you to fill it in twice. And the default text on the tribute reminder email does say you'll only be able to send this once. If you click in and you've already sent it, it'll make it clear to you. So we do our best on that.
Okay.
I think the pros and cons of adding a delay weighed a bit more heavy on the con side. And so we decided for now to keep it as an immediate thing that goes out alongside the one-time receipt or the recurring receipt.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for asking that question, Dawn. I see a few questions in here about what people might need to do to customize the feature when it launches. There's really not much that you need to do, and we'll of course set up all of the email templates with some boilerplate imagery and text. And there's of course a new email with that reminder email that we've talked about a bit, and you absolutely will be able to go in and customize that as you wish. And so, for example, in our case here with this dedication, I uploaded this custom photo of a arguably very cute puppy to be used here, but your organization might have something a little bit more customized that shows some logos in there or some additional text, for example, that you can display there. Another question that came in that I know we answered, but others might have, is just to confirm, do we have the option to turn off sending a printed card? So are we always going to show that to donors as they go through, or we can flip a switch and say we just want e-card? And the answer is that you can absolutely flip that off and just show an e-card. Of course, some shops are not set up to physically mail things, and certainly as we're still in the midst of a pandemic and not everybody's in the office, can help ease things a bit. Another question that I saw come in here has to do with cost. And something that we're always proud to share is that these features, as they roll out, are available to you at no additional cost. And with Fundraise Up, the cost to use the platform will always just be based on that percentage of the transaction cost. No additional charges for new features. That includes Tribute, P2P, and other functionalities that will roll out in the future. I'm scrolling back through here in the chat to see if we have other questions. For my other teammates who are on here, if you've caught something that I've missed, please feel free to jump in. Okay, it looks like we may have some things that will need to be resolved on a per account basis, depending on what your setup is. And of course, your success engineers are available to help clear that up. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here for a moment. And if there aren't any other pressing questions that are coming in fact, I just saw one, so let me take a look at this. Here's one from Katrina. If the donor selects a printed card, can we still do that internally ourselves? How would we pay for the postage if you send the tribute cards? Great question. For now and absolutely in the future as well, you'll be able to control what is or is not automatically happening. And so today it is a mostly manual process where we'll indicate on the donation record, and of course in any exports that you do from the platform, that a donation has been marked to be mailed. And again, you have the option to choose how that's going to be sent out. You can stuff it in an envelope, get your own postage placed on it, and sent out to your donors. But in the future, what we'd look to do with automatically sending these notifications on your behalf is to do it programmatically. And so there's not a lot of heavy lifting that you need to do. And then if you opt to use that feature, it may add, some small percentage to the transaction cost or something like that. There's a lot of different ways that can be represented. And as we continue the conversation about what that functionality will look like in the platform, I'll have more information for you as well. And on that note, we still have a few minutes left together. And again, this is not your typical webinar. This is kind of a fireside chat, if you will. So please feel free, if you'd like, to jump in by unmuting yourself, unmute. We're really excited to have you here in the room. And it certainly isn't every day that we get to see each other face to face, even if virtually. So it's a pleasure to have you. And as I mentioned at the top of the presentation, we have many of our own team members here on the call who would love to say hi to you as well. And that includes, now that I can see everyone back on my screen, Salvatore Salpietro, who is our Chief Experience Officer. And certainly if you were one of our early customers, you likely had a demo with him. So Sal, thanks so much for jumping in here with us as well. And I am seeing another question pop in here about sending these tribute cards automatically via API using a service called Lob. And that's exciting for us to hear because we actually already use Lob for some of the functionality within the platform. Something that we're really proud of is offering you built-in address verification to make sure that you can always mail to your donors. And we're able to do that by partnering with Lob and using their API to do that. And so as we look to the future of what it might look like to expand tribute functionality and how we mail things, Lob is one of our partners that we talk to. Oh, and here's a question from Kristen. She's not sure who her success engineer is. We'll have them reach out to you and say hello if they're not here on the call. And I see there's a question in here about some birthday cards. If you provide birth dates, that's a really interesting concept. And one of the reasons why it's great to have Nia on calls like this, because we'll log this type of feedback about how you want to use tribute functionality as part of your fundraising. And that will get discussed around the table with engineering. And who knows, it might someday turn into a functionality in the platform.
I did want to offer a quick note on a few things that we got in the chat that were around the actual sending of the card. Nick, would you mind pulling up the demo that we had, the dedication wizard that you
Yes.
had open for sending the card? And actually, I think it might be instructive if we ran in another donation.
Sure.
And this time we're going to run in a donation where they don't decide to make a tribute at the time of the gift. So if the person making the donation decides not to dedicate their donation at the moment that they're giving, but then later decides that they want to, that option is still available from their donor portal. So let's see.
Actually, let me use my friend Jared.
I was about to say, you've already got that Outlook so helpfully available.
Yes.
Yep. And so what we're going to do is we're going to walk through start to finish how you can know that your tribute was actually sent, communicated, all that good stuff. So in this case, Jared made a donation and then later realizes that it would actually be really meaningful to donate this gift in memory of like a beloved family member, and to send that message to their surviving relatives. So in this case, you're seeing right here, I've made my donation, me being Jared, and I want to add a dedication to this donation. I had the button to go here on the one-time receipt. We actually added that to the one-time receipt, that manage my donation button. It wasn't there previously. We wanted to make sure that people could still get in. We're also building out the functionality of Donor Portal. Go ahead and click back into Donor Portal and then choose to add a dedication. So in this case, this is going to be in memory of Charisse.
And you have to give me the spelling. Are we doing like that? Or-
Yeah. And I am going to choose to send a customized card. And so this is in memory of Charisse. That's already been carried through because I made those selections on the last page. And if I choose to fill in a message, you could just fill in something like still thinking of you, and sending light to your, yeah. And for the recipient, you could just fill in, yeah, I would
I'll
say,
to myself.
yeah. And so what I want to call your attention to is when you click send e-card, it's actually going to go through a whole sending animation. And so if I click back to my donation, at this point in time, if I ever came back to this page, I would be able to see that the e-card had been sent. And so that way you have a place to direct people. The goal is never to make it so that there are no questions, right? We know that that's never going to happen. The goal is for as many of the questions that you get to be easily answered. And so in this case, the way that we make it easily answerable is that we make it easier for people to see the details of one-time donations and easier to see if their dedication has been completed by the sharing of something or other.
Fantastic. And as Nia noted, one of the areas where we're looking to build out greater functionality is within Donor Portal.
Yeah.
And so today that means enhancements to Tribute, but in the future, you can expect other enhancements here that are going to make it a more core part of our offering to you. All right, well, it's 2:43, a couple minutes away from when we plan to wind things down. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for this call today. We've had a number of people who have been able to join from organizations across the states, and we may even have people joining us internationally as well. I see Pacific Wild is in here as well. So thank you again for joining us. If you have questions about what we've looked at today, we'll be sure to follow up with you via email. And again, you can also connect with your success engineer, your sales rep, your implementation engineer, anybody you need to here at Fundraise Up, and we'll be sure to take good care of you. With that said, as we close out, if you want to unmute and say goodbye to everybody here, please feel free to do so. There are no rules about what you can and cannot do.
Thank you
See
so
you
much,
guys.
Nick and Nia.
Thank you. all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you
Nick.
all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You as well.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric.
Oh, so exciting.
Thanks, Sal.
Yeah,
Thanks
yeah.
for handling all my obscure inquiries.
Yeah, yeah. I never got to meet up with you, I think, or ever see a face to the name, but good to meet you a little bit here.
Yeah, likewise. It's really good.
Cool.
So
And
thanks for all
congrats on
you
your
guys are
app
doing.
and all that stuff that you're doing there with your app and also keep rocking.
Thanks, brother. Hey,
All right.
Thanks for what you guys do.
Likewise. Cheers.
Thanks, Eric.
Take care.
All right, this is Fundraise Up, signing off. See you next time.